Hello folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the second video in our Is It Any Good series, where we take slot cars, past and present, show you their quirks and features and then put them through their paces here on our track here at Scalehectic. Now last time we looked at a Toyota Supra from Ninco, and then this time we're kind of following on from that with another Castrol liveried car, but this time a Skyline GTR R32 from Slot-It. Now, Slot-It are quite different to Ninco in terms of they were at the time a more expensive brand. I don't actually know the year of this model, but I do think it's fairly recent. It's certainly more recent than the Ninco Supra that we featured last time. But yeah, they were kind of one of the first companies to bring easily modifiable cars to the mass market back in the sort of early 2000s. So they sort of moved on a bit from there. But there's a lot to show you on this one and a lot of details that will be very different to what was on the Supra. So yeah, let's take a detailed look. The detail on the bodywork of this car really does feel like it's a notch above that than what was on the Ninco Supra from the last video. The printing on the finer text on the livery is extremely crisp and clear. It's nice to see that the window surrounds have been picked out in black along with the windscreen washer jets. There are also detailed bonnet pins, front and rear towing hooks and side exit exhaust. Even the indicator side repeaters have been detailed out in orange. And of course, there is the iconic GTR logo on the tailgate. But I think the absolute icing on the cake on the detail on this car is that Slot-It have included the S Skyline symbol on the leading edge of the bonnet, which is something that could easily have been left out and most people probably wouldn't even notice if it wasn't there. I think this goes a really long way to show how Slot-It pay attention to detail within their products. The only thing I'm not so keen on with this one is the fact that the interior is in white. Now I'm struggling to find any pictures of the car, the real car in period, to see whether that was actually the case. It's highly likely it was, because it would have just been body colour, but from a model point of view I must admit it does kind of look somewhat unfinished and make it look a bit like they've kind of cheaped out there, although I find it very hard to believe that that would be the case given the detail that Slot-It have put into it everywhere else. But to my mind it does look a little unfinished. Perhaps let me know in the comments whether you feel the same way about that. Looking at the underside of the chassis, we start to see Slot-It's modular chassis design that has a removable drivetrain mount that holds a motor, rear axle and magnet within its own sort of mini chassis secured in place with 4 screws. These can be loosened to allow the whole assembly to float if that suits your track and driving style. Also note that the magnet can be fitted either behind or in front of the motor, which will lead to 2 very different handling characteristics on a magnet track. We will test both of these options on our track later in the video. The front and rear tyres on this car are the same width at 15.8mm wide, but the front wheels are plastic, whereas the rear wheels are actually made of aluminium, meaning they are perfectly round and nicely weighted. We can also see the side exit exhaust detail. The slot guide on this one isn't sprung loaded like it was on the Supra, but it's 21mm long and 6.5mm deep, with chamfered leading and tailing edges. Moving to the inside and the top side of the chassis, note the grub screws that hold the aluminium rear wheels tightly to the rear axle and the brass pinion gear with a brass and nylon crown gear. There are a few nice features of this setup. One is that Slot-It use a colour coded system for the nylon section of the crown gear. Yellow meaning in this case it's a 28 tooth gear, so you can change the gearing easily by fitting a different colour crown gear, ranging from 23 to 50 tooth gears in 1 tooth increments, making this highly tunable. The motor is Slot-It's V12 21,000 RPM unit. The rear axle is held in place by metal pillow ball bushes, whereas the front has no bushes inside the plastic holes within the chassis that the axle is pushed through. There is also a connector here making digital conversion easier. The inside of the body seems to confirm my thoughts about the interior colour being correct to the original car. We can now see the interior has been moulded in black plastic that has been sprayed white, so the interior on the real car must have been white. With the detailed section of the video now complete, let's move on to driving the car. In this case, I'm going to true the tyres before I start running the car. You'll be able to see how I did that and the difference it made in lap times in the previous Toyota Supra video, linked in the description below. I'm going to run 2 tests with this car, one with the magnet in its original position and another with it moved in front of the motor. After which we will see the difference in lap times and I will give you my thoughts on how it drives with either location. So, what are my thoughts on this Castrol R32 GTR Skyline from Slot It? Well, it's good. Obviously it runs really smoothly. You've heard that going around the track. It handles well. With the magnet in the rear position, it's quite unforgiving. So obviously you get the magnet traction until such time as the back end pulls away and then it's gone, it's off the track. With the magnet in the middle position, or forward of the motor, it's much more forgiving and in actual fact much more fun to drive because you can get a bit of back end slide and get the back end out without the car just shooting off the track. In terms of times, there's nothing in it. We've got a 4.33 with the magnet at the back and a 4.37 with it at the front. I'll put lap times up on the screen now. So on your left, at 4.33 is a magnet at the back and on the right is a magnet at the front at 4.37. Ignore the race times on there because that's if I had any downtime in terms of picking the car up or didn't start on time, that's what that is. So ignore that, just go for the best lap times. Yeah, overall, as with pretty much all Slot It products actually, this is a big thumbs up from me. And it is good. All right, guys, catch you on the next one, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.